welcome back to the Morehammer podcast, your weekly podcast where we talk all things Warhammer from the past week and have some general good fun hobby chat. This week we talk about the use of AI or 3D printing in the Golden Demon Awards. Which Age of Sigmar factions would we choose to get the more models treatment in 4th edition? And following our usual game of Warhammer 20 questions, we'll be looking through the Morehammer community for the March For Macragge entries that we've had in. I am one of your hosts, Wargaming Luke. Happy Easter to everybody. It is just the three of us again this week. I am joined, of course, by Simon, Hobby Waffle. How are we doing, my friend?
Very good, thank you. How are you?
Good, mate. As everybody, Easter weekend extended.
Yeah, happy Easter.
You know, yeah, happy Easter to you guys. I'd like to say it's the same for you guys as well, but Ben, as well, 90% Geek, is also joining us. How are we doing?
I have a tree man. That's enough for me. I have got a Blood Bowl tree man I'm going to sit and gently assemble as we talk tonight. That's good enough for me.
Yeah, so hopefully, well, by the sounds of things, I have had a slightly calmer weekend to you guys, so I have managed to get a little bit of hobbying done, but hopefully both of you have managed to get a little bit in as well, but we will talk about that in just a moment. Of course, as always, guys, we are on YouTube, with the visuals, so if you want to see us on the screen and listen to us, we're here every week, and of course I put out the snippet videos, clips as well every week, so make sure you're subscribing to us and following us here. Also, of course, over on Spotify, we're growing over there every week. Make sure to join us there, follow us, just check us out. Maybe even if you watch us on YouTube, you might want to go and try us out over there as well, and you can just listen to us over there rather than having to have the adverts and things on YouTube. It might be a better option for you as well. But other than that, I suppose we should get into kind of whatever we've managed to fit in hobby-wise in the past week or so. And I know, Ben, you've kind of got an idea for us that we've kind of hinted at before on previous episodes, that we're going to be doing our little own Blood Bowl sort of league thing. So we'll pass that on to Ben afterwards once we've done our updates. And also, of course, it is now April, I believe. We're on the 1st of April today. So as of recording, anyway, it'll be the 2nd probably by the time you guys watch this or listen to this. But March For Macragge has ended, so we've gathered all of the pictures and asked you guys who are part of the Morehammer community, if you were able to send into our Discord and socials all of your images of what you've worked on over the month of March and previous, I suppose. So we'll wait to do that until the end of the podcast, just because obviously if you're only listening, it's not as ideal for you if you're having to just watch us looking at things, or sorry, listen to us looking at things. So we'll leave that right till the end so that listeners aren't so bothered about that. But in terms of hobby updates, who would like to go first?
If I do mine, no, go ahead, Si. You go ahead.
No, you go on. You beat me to it. Then you go first.
Mine is relatively brief. Insofar as I'm basically doing mine. Aside from finishing my March For Macragge, my hobbying is literally building a Blood Bowl tree man right now, and a real-world encounter with the Skaven, which was most of my Easter holidays, battling some rats that invaded my shed. The good news is, although they chewed apart the bag that contained a whole bunch of Black Library novels, they turned their noses up at actually eating the books. Likewise, they chewed apart the bag that contained all kind of the limited edition models instead of the packaging that I've been saving, like the Catachan Colonel and stuff, and Ripper Jackson, but they didn't actually attack the boxes, so those are still okay. I'm counting that as a win. But yeah, so I'm getting ready for Age of Sigmar 4 by already battling the Skaven. That is my hobbying for the last week. Nice. Over to you, Si.
Well, first question is, what are you doing storing limited edition models in your shed? You've got more confidence than I have. Mine are on a high shelf just in case my washing machine decides to blow itself apart again.
Ben's got too much. He has to store half of it out in the shed. That's why.
I've got too many sheds. I've got like 6 sheds. It's ludicrous.
Probably what it is. Yeah, he owns too many limited things. Hobby updates for me. I finished off some more Ultramarines. I've done my Contempt to Dreadnoughts, and I've also been having a look at some Stormcast as well. I had a few issues of Mortal Realms magazine. You remember the first Hatchet Part Works that they did?
Yeah.
So I think I'd got up to like issue 28 before I cancelled it, and I got rid of a few of them and I found the box where they were all in, and I managed to get the Stormcast stuff out that I wanted. So I got the Night Questor, I think is from issue 12. I've got the Lord Arcanum from the Soul Wars box on the Griff Charger. What else did I get? There was something else. The limited edition. I forget what she's called. Is it Zandaya Starbolt or something.
Not far off.
The Knight Arcanum, or the one mounted on the
No, the Knight Arcanum, the female one with
Yeah.
the staff held to the side.
Yeah.
I think she's called Zandaya Stormbolt or Firebolt or something.
Yeah,
I got that one. I realised I had 3 of those. I must have seen them in Tesco's and thought, oh, that's the limited edition one. I'll buy 3.
Nice.
Never sold the remaining ones. So I've got 3 of those. So if anyone is still looking for that, I've got 2 spare. Other than that, I did a little bit of Star Wars Shatterpoint. I just painted up some bases for a couple of clones. But yeah, it's mainly been Epic Ultramarines, to be honest.
Nice.
And that's about it, really.
Okay. Myself, I did get a game in last week. Still kind of getting the games in with Seraphon so that I'm ready to take them to the narrative event that, at the beginning of May. And still kind of painting through them as well. But the game, basically what I'm doing is I've started to do a Path to Glory with my Seraphon army, sort of leading up to the narrative event, and then I'll finish it throughout that narrative event effectively. Because I think the narrative event at the beginning of May is based on the Twin Tail Crusades. So effectively, I'm going to be saying that my Seraphon are part of that crusade kind of thing, and then it'll end there, because I believe at the event the order side of things are supposed to sort of be protecting one of these sort of outposts or fortresses that they've gained in I think it's Acci maybe. So that'll be pretty cool. It'll kind of all of my games will sort of be themed leading up to that, and I'll get my practice in as well. And then painting wise, Chameleon Skinks unit are done. And I've half painted the Carnosaur with the Old Blood on top. So that's
nice.
kind of where I'm going with that. I'll share pictures as they get done as usual in Discord if you guys want to go and check that out. Other than that, obviously finishing up the Ultramarines for March for Macragge. So got all the rest of the transfers on those models, and they'll be shown off at the end of the episode, I suppose. But
I saw your pictures from that.
Yeah, very, very cool that they're finally done. Like I say, that's been a project since November, so then it got kind of put off once I picked up the Seraphon in the new year, so it's nice to have finally finished that 1,000 points for the most part. So yeah, nice to pass that one off finally. But Ben, you, to be fair, came up with the idea for our little mini league for Blood Bowl, so kind of explain to people what your idea is for that.
So there are now 4 teams in Blood Bowl that have the stunty rule. I mean, stunty teams are sometimes considered to be playing Blood Bowl on hard mode, because you're mostly like strength 2 and nothing better than armor of 7.
Yeah.
There are 4 teams with stunty. There are the Halflings, the Gnomes, who just recently got their release, the Snotling team, and the Goblin team. And I thought it might be quite cool, given there are 3 of us, and Sai in particular seemed really kind of excited for the Gnome team to be released, if we played essentially a little mini, like almost like the 6 Nations, but 3 nations, small nations, mini league when we get a chance to meet up. If we all paint up a Blood Bowl team, we each play each other, and we, like the 6 Nations, have scores based on win, loss, draw, and then points difference, and see which of the 3 small teams that we choose to play is the victor of this year's kind of small nations. And yeah, I've put some thought into how we could organize and run it, because I think sometimes Blood Bowl, it can be, if you're playing it as a one-off, it can be very much, well, why don't you just throw everything in there that you can? What I'm going to suggest we do is we do 1 million credits like you usually do. So you get 1 million credits to spend, and you can spend that on whatever would otherwise be available for your team. So if you want to play a star player, buy a star player. They are available for both games, because we'll only play 2 games each. Buy a star player. You want to buy, some inducements like a team wizard, or in my case, a halfling hot pot to go lob pots of soup at your 2 teams. Buy yourself a halfling hot pot, or an apothecary or a wizard or whatever to go alongside your team for the duration of the little kind of mini tournament, essentially, that we're going to be playing. So that is my proposal. I've already worked out what my team is going to be, and I don't mind sharing. It's a whole bunch of halfling linemen, some hefties, a couple of catchers, the tree man that I'm currently building, some rerolls, obviously, a halfling hot pot, Acorn the squirrel, who is sat here ready and raring to go and lob acorns at you and chew your faces off, and go toe to toe with size badgers or geese or whatever.
Murder geese, yeah.
Murder geese and murder goslings as well. And Rumbelow Sheepskin, the halfling riding on a sheep, which seems evidently the coolest character that the halfling team have. But yeah, so I'm painting my halflings up to match the Welsh rugby team uniform. I thought that was quite cool. Luke, you were saying earlier you've got some ideas. You're going to do snotlings, is that right?
Yeah, and I thought, given you're doing your kind of like Welsh team, I thought, why not go for like an Irish theme for the snotlings? And then because what made me think of that is I was like, what could I kind of do with one of the Six Nations sides from the rugby? I thought Ireland would be perfect with that. Not saying that, you know, that they match the snotlings well, if there's any Irish out there listening or watching, but the wagons that they have, the barrels on the front definitely could be used as kegs of Guinness, and I could possibly
really
print
cool.
off or get something where I could put on the kegs at the front. That would be, I'd make them kegs instead of like whatever you call them, like
barrels.
the front barrels. Yeah. So I thought
That's
that could
really
be
cool
quite cool. And then I'll obviously do them in kind of the green-white colours from the Irish rugby kit. But yeah. And then, Si, you're doing your names, aren't you? So.
Yeah, so I'm going to get the gnomes. I'll probably get Rodney Fishbait, I think he's called.
Yeah.
The guy who can get the ball with his fishing rod. And then I might pick up one of the Alton Forest Treemen as well, because I'm going to need some sort of muscle within the team. I noticed they did an article today on Warhammer Community saying about the gnome team. You know, the designers and what have you, and they said you can't get the Halfling Master Chef for the gnomes team. They made that perfectly clear, so that's a bit of a shame. But
yeah,
mortal enemies.
I think with what you get, you got all the different animals in the team. That and the tree man, and then the star player, I think should be a good fun. I mean,
that'd be good.
I'm not bothered if I get trounce, to be honest. It's the fact that they can just use a
that's
fox,
the whole point of it, isn't it? It's just going to be hilarious.
a badger, and a goose on a team with a big tree.
And I think if whenever we do manage to meet up to actually do it, and we'll give our updates on future podcasts, guys, how we're prepping for it. But I think when we do all meet up, maybe you might be able to record one of each of our games against each other. That might be quite cool. Do like battle report for each one, and
I'm looking forward to the tree throwing one of my gnomes and getting it wrong, and
it'll be a good laugh. It'll be a good laugh. Awesome. So we'll be looking forward to that. Do keep your eyes and ears out for what's going on with that, guys. But
we need to come up with some amusing team names as well.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, good shout, Si. Yeah, please do get in the comments, guys, or over on the Discord. Let us know what names we could use for the teams. Ben, what time is it?
And now the news.
Awesome. Well, I say news, it's kind of more topics this week that we've sort of come up with, really, but it is usually our news section. There hasn't been a hell of a lot of news that haven't just been purely about rules, really, which isn't something we tend to really cover on here. It's more topical. So,
anyway,
what we've one of the big talking points on the socials and whatnot, it's been Golden Demon, obviously, recently. We've had the winners announced and whatnot. There has been a load of controversy, though, over the use of possibly AI background art for, I think, one of the winners' pieces. So I'll possibly put up the image in a moment, but you've got basically the model in front of an art background. And yeah, the actual model itself, great. I think he's a previous winner as well. So it made it kind of even more strange how this kind of cropped up, really. And this isn't, I just want to say, by the way, this isn't just on this one person. This is something that apparently has occurred a decent bit in recent awards.
I'm just trying to find it now. I can have another look.
So,
it's this awesome Exodite, isn't it? With the mounted on a dragon with riding out through the forest.
So I'll pop it up there. So it's up on screen there. So as you can see, there's the model. It's in front. It's basically apparently as well used 3D printed parts possibly for the whole base scenics.
The forest
underneath.
stuff.
So that is not something I'm definitely going to confirm, but that is what a lot of people are saying. But definitely the main controversy seems to be coming from the AI art in the background. Is obviously not. It's a kind of against artistic, you know.
But what's interesting is they used that particular image on the Warhammer community website when you're scrolling through the articles. That's the cover image of the article, if you like.
Yep. But I don't think they. I don't know if Games Workshop themselves knew at the time, or the socials team knew about this, and then maybe it came out after. I don't know. But I think what we were going to generally talk about with this is whether there should be rules brought in, because there are technically no rules against the use of small amounts of 3D printed parts on your bases or AI art being used. Technically, there are no written rules to technically say you can't do that.
Indeed.
Obviously, from our point of view as artists, you could say, you know, we like to paint things, we like to do things by the book when we do with art. it's obviously just a bit of a touchy subject with whether you should really be allowed to do that, and especially when you're winning things like that and you're a previous winner, should you really be using AI in your artwork, you know?
It's a painting competition, but the principle is it's the painting of miniatures. And in this case, he has painted the miniature.
Yeah.
So from that point of view, from my perspective, he has achieved what he was set out to achieve, what the goal of the competition is. At the end of the day, it's not a background competition.
Yeah.
It is nice to see, you know, things with like scenic backgrounds and so forth. That's been a real kind of trend in recent years at Golden Demon, is people setting up, you know, a still image or something in the background as a backdrop, rather than what I remember as a kid was just, you know, the miniatures. Hey, look, here's some chunks of lead that we've pinned together and painted really pretty, which is, we've come a long way from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you're saying, it is a painting competition, isn't it? And he's not done anything iffy with the actual miniature itself. The miniature is really well painted. All right, you could say if there is some 3D printed parts on there, you might get some people who'll frown at that, or, you know, mumble under their breath and say, "Oh, it's not very cricket," or whatever. I don't mind. The background, would it be any different if you printed off a poster of just, you know, if you just Google image search jungle and then printed off a poster and did it as a curved background like you would for a backdrop when you're photographing miniatures? Is it really that much of a problem? I mean, I saw the buzz on it on the internet and on Twitter and what have you, but to be honest, it was storm in a teacup, if you ask me. Storm in a teacup.
Part of what I was wondering was people who've used the Google image search for something in the background. It's not like when they present the miniature that on the base they've put a little plaque saying, you know, background art to be credited to name of artist or name of photographer or whatever. When somebody uses an existing real world image, unless they physically painted that themselves with, you know, sat down with a palette and Bob Ross,
same as using AI,
some happy little trees here. Is it any different?
No, it's not.
Because I mean, they don't give an acceptance speech. Well, that's it. In many respects, the people until now who have been using existing images for this have been just doing the AI thing without using an AI. They've just been stealing other people's intellectual property and using it as a backdrop.
I think it's because then when you've got if somebody's found out that AI was actually used, it's like this whole thing around sensibility now at the moment around AI. It's like, ooh, AI, oh my god, you know, the alarms go off in people's heads. But if he was to say, if somebody was just to say, oh no, I just printed it and put it up as a background, didn't think there was any big deal with it, I don't think the uproar would have been as big. Do you get what I mean by that?
Well, that's it. In many respects, I suppose that the harm is that he's been upfront about it and said, no, I did this with AI. Yeah. And I suppose the AI, don't get me wrong, AI is something that I think very much has its place. I don't think it ever should be used to replace existing artists. Like if I wanted to make a thumbnail for my YouTube channel or something, I probably wouldn't use AI to do that. If I wanted something beyond my basic hand-fisted Photoshop skills, I would go to someone like, for example, June Like Jess on Twitter, who's has made a number of thumbnails for me in the past, and I've then flung some money into her Ko-fi account, just kind of hey, thank you very much.
I'd rather
let me pay you for it.
Money's really good at doing something like that, and you know, get them to do the work and then share their work and say, hey, everyone, you know, this was created by XYZ. Go check out their channel, go check out their Instagram page. Like you say, AI I think has its place, but
so the only other question that I would ask then, really leading from that, is for future Golden Demon events, would you put it in the rules to say you can't use AI or 3D printed parts for your project? Because then where do you draw a line? How do you really
3D printed parts? That's fair enough. You could say don't use that, but then it's like, to what extent is it? You know, are you just talking about a helmet or a shoulder pad?
That's what I mean. It's hard to.
Are you talking about like a whole diorama base? You could, 3D printed parts. It wouldn't bother me if they banned that for a painting competition, but AI background, I don't know. It's just opening a can of worms, if you ask me.
So the 3D printed one's an interesting one. Have you got a picture of the overall Slayer Sword winner that's allegedly 3D printed?
It's on our Discord, so I might be able to grab it, Ben. But
is that the one with the reflective?
Is that definitely the one though that they're saying is parts have been used on it though?
Well, I think if you look at it, you can tell for a
parts
very obvious reason that almost more than half of the model is 3D
printed. The only reason
printed.
I wasn't going to get up a specific model for that is because from what I've read in a lot of places, apparently a lot of people are using 3D parts on the base. I think just in that one's case, it might be like a lot.
Well,
if you know
that's
what I mean.
exactly the point I was going to make. So that, for those who can't see it, but for those who are listening on Spotify, this is the Slayer Sword winner, which is a gorgeous diorama. I mean, it's absolutely stunning. It's the Vampire Prince model, the kind of doomed Vampire Prince who is posed beside kind of a ruined tree. And then how they've sculpted it, or how they've constructed it, is that the same tree is inverted below, like something out of Stranger Things in the Upside Down.
Yeah.
With a mirror image of the vampire model, upside down, inverted underneath, but this time without the arms or face. Essentially, all of the bits that would be vampiric flesh are missing to suggest that he has no reflection. Yeah, he has no reflection. And they've added in some like wailing ghosts and stuff around his feet as well, which is quite cool. And I think looking at it, I came to the conclusion that I'm assuming the mirror image inverted suit of armor must be 3D printed, because how else would you get something that is literally a mirror image of that model? I mean, it must have been like unless he is sat down and by hand sculpted it, and I don't think anyone's suggesting he has.
Yeah, because like you say, you can't just turn the model upside down, chop any flesh away with a scalpel,
because it wouldn't be a mirror image.
Yeah,
it would be reversed on the wrong side. So it has to have been 3D printed. And likewise, the tree, to get the tree a perfect mirror image of the upright tree, the best way I can imagine would be to 3D print it. Mm-hmm. But I've been thinking about this, because the category he entered it into, I think, was Warhammer single model. Because part of the complaint was there was a suggestion that it ought to have been entered into the open category, which would have precluded him from winning the Slayer Sword. It is, in fact, a Warhammer single model. It's just on an extremely extravagant base.
Yeah.
Because everything else, the tree, the mirrored image of him underneath and everything else, isn't actually a Games Workshop model. It's something he's created to make the diorama. And I guess Games Workshop must have either been blown away by how awesome it was, or not considered the implication of the fact that more than half the model is the huge kind of amazing, cleverly constructed base that's supposedly 3D printed.
I think the bit of benefit of the doubt there, isn't there?
So the only reason I bring it up really is just because at some point, is it going to go too far with the use of a lot of this stuff? I guess is the point. So then do you draw a line somewhere or what? I don't know. But it's interesting. It is an interesting one.
Well, yeah, it is. In terms of a huge part of Golden Demon for many years. I mean, certainly going as far back as I can remember reading about it. I've got a friend, my friend, I'm going to shout out Chris Blair down here in Reading, is an old staffer from the Reading store and a multiple-time Golden Demon winner. I don't know if he ever won the Slayer Sword, but he's definitely, if you check some of the old White Dwarfs, like White Dwarf 218, you'll see some of his classic Golden Demon entries, which he's got statues in the cabinet for. But quite a few of those are sculpted. And then in those days, of course, sculpting literally meant sitting down with wire and milliput and making something that did not exist in the Games Workshop range. Like the incredible John Blanche Night Panther artwork that someone sculpted a Night Panther to match John's amazing artwork and then entered it into the Golden Demon and won years and years ago. Is, in a way, is 3D printing anything other than sculpting in a new way?
That's an interesting point. Yeah, I mean, like you said, the whole thing about Golden Demon, from in the past anyway, when you just said, looking at some of the amazing creations we've seen in older Golden Demons, it's creativity, isn't it? And creating something where when people see it, they go, "Oh wow, I'll look at that." Imagine if Mike McVeigh had entered that Emperor versus Horus diorama that he did into Golden Demon.
Well, the full tilt display that's in the Warhammer World Museum, that's the knights jousting. Quite a few of the metal miniatures that are on it are Games Workshop miniatures, but the whole rest of the base is entirely constructed.
So that's a good point, actually. Even
so I think what they could just say,
all sorts.
The actual miniatures themselves, must be, I don't know, 75% original miniature. Then you can add some embellishments or whatever. But with the base and the diorama, go nuts. I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about creating a wow piece, isn't it?
I agree.
I'd like to say, again with the AI background and again with this, it does Storm in a Teacup again, I think. I mean, that miniature with the reflection and the suit of armour that was just a suit of armour was absolutely stunning, and fair play to the guy.
What will be interesting will be to see when the Essen Golden Demon rocks up later this year, whether people have learned lessons from this one, and if it changes the way, take an inspiration, and whether it changes the entries that we get to see. It's going to be really interesting.
We may come back to it later in the year again. We'll have to see. But yeah, I think that's a good place to leave it. And we've got a second topic that we've come up with ourselves this week. which is going to be more Age of Sigmar related. Obviously, 4th edition is coming. That's the big thing at the moment. And what we thought we would cover, we'll get each of our choices, I suppose, is obviously Age of Sigmar armies at the moment. It's still a newer game compared to Warhammer 40,000, and you have a lot of armies that don't have necessarily the greatest choice of model and rules, you could say, and so we wanted to each choose a faction that we'd like to see get the Flesh Eater Courts treatment like they've just got, a fleshing out of models and new rules and things. So what we're going to do is go around each of us. We've each hopefully chosen a faction, I suppose, just to keep it kind of concise, and kind of our reasons for choosing them and what new models we'd like to see. So who would like to start?
Yeah, I will if you want.
Yeah,
go ahead, dude.
Go for it, Si.
Well, this is not an existing faction. The faction that I'd like to see fleshed out, if I can get my words out of my mouth, is Chaos Dwarves or Dwarden.
What were they called in Sigmar? Because they used to be on Forge World.
Wait, yeah, let me just caveat that by saying,
yeah.
if they are going to come to Age of Sigmar, and I think they will do, I would still love to see them in the old world. But they're a legacy faction out there in the old world. Yeah, I'd love to see them in the old world, but I think if they were going to come back, they'd bring them back for Age of Sigmar. Now,
yeah,
there's been a couple of videos that people have done. I think Tabletop Tom did a really excellent video about Chaos Dwarves coming back and looking at some of the evidence. I do think they're going to come. They've dropped enough hints now, and there's enough evidence if you actually break it down and look at it. The Horns of Hashut warband. So it's not a Chaos Dwarf warband, but it is the Horns of Hashut, so the followers of Hashut and what have you. And if you look at the Warhammer community article about that warband, it actually says they march ahead of Hashut's legendary Dwarden legions. So march ahead of, do you know? So it's almost hinting that the Chaos Dwarfs might follow. And then you've got the Iron Golems. I think they've actually got a Chaos Dwarf in their warband as well. And then the other one is the
Spire Tyrants, definitely.
Spire Tyrants,
Chaos
I
Dwarf.
couldn't think of the word.
Yes,
That's 100% a Chaos Dwarf, one of their members. You got his little tusks, hasn't he, and what have you.
Is it
And
the
then
Iron
there was-
Golems, the first ever one, was it? They had like the one in
The Iron Golems have got the ogre with the big mace
it?
fists that looks very Chaos Dwarf kind of. It will look
Yeah, there's a guy with the twin
nicely.
hammers, isn't
But there are
Yeah.
like the small dwarfs in there as well in that war.
Yeah, I think, but
In
the one in the Spy Tyrants is 100%.
Oh, definitely,
Chaos
yeah.
Dwarf.
Horned helmet and the big tusks down his beard.
Yeah, and then because I think right at the beginning of Age of Sigmar, they were the Legions of Asgore, weren't they, or something like that? They
That's
brought
what
them
it was,
over,
that's what I was
and then they
thinking.
got discontinued.
Brushed
But I
on
mean,
the
look at Paradron Overlords. They didn't appear straight away in Age of Sigmar, did they? What
No.
was that? 1 year in or something like that? 2 years in?
More, I think. Yeah.
More than that, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a while before they came. So it's not like they haven't introduced new factions before. So I think they're going to come. There was something in the new Orruk battle tome, or the latest Orruk battle tomes. It said there was like a falling out between the Orruks and the Chaos Dwarves. So the Hobgots are the ones that act as intermediaries and trade the weapons with the Chaos Dwarves. Then there was some other blurbs. I can't remember where it's from. And this is from Tabletop Tom's video, so credit to him for that one. There was a blurb about they built one of the big Cornet fortresses that's guarding one of the realm gates, I think. And also they built a fortress in Shaiish as well. So there's loads of little hints. And I think they'll come back, and if they do bring them back, it won't be a full Chaos Dwarf army. It won't be all Chaos Dwarves. I think the Horns of Hashut are a great example. There'll be followers of Hashut or something. It'll be something around that sort of theme, the followers of Hashut. There'll be humans who worship Hashut. Again, trying to get my words out. And then Chaos Dwarves as well, but they won't make up the entirety of the army. But think about some of the beasts we could see now with the modern Age of Sigmar plastics, some of the amazing miniatures we see. Can you imagine a new Bull Centaur or something like that?
That would
but
be
with
cool.
today's plastics, with like a giant Chaos Dwarf Lord on top, it would be mega.
That'd be awesome.
So that's the faction I think I'd like to see fleshed out, and I'd like to see come to Age of Sigmar.
Nice.
But if you're going to ask me to pick an existing one that I'd like to see a few more models for, Caradron. I'd like to see some more stuff for them.
Fair enough.
Not just an Edrin Master or an Arcanaut Admiral, something really cool. Another unit, something that they've not got.
With the whole Hashut thing, with the Horned Rat basically now becoming a fully fledged member of the Chaos Pantheon, it does open up the door to other chaos gods becoming
exactly
central to the pantheon. And Hashut has long been kind of lurking on the edges. Maybe that's the next one that makes
Chaos
a big push.
giant hats and horns for everyone.
Yeah.
Okay. Cheers for that, Si. Ben, would you like to go next? What's your choice?
So I'm somewhat biased in this regard, and it's not just because I've been building a tree man. I want to see more Sylvaneth. I know that we've had some stuff added. I mean, when they first came out, and I first did my first Sylvaneth army,
so much
we were very
potential
much
there, though.
well, we were very much limited to the Dryads and the Kurnoth models that had been ported over from the old world, and then they added in like a little bit like the Tree Revenants and Spite Revenants, but we were still waiting for more kind of stuff, and now they've slowly started to add a little bit more in. We've got the giant bug riders, and we've got the winged kind of Sylvaneth, but it still feels like a minuscule fraction of a range compared to some of the other armies that are out there. I mean, look at stuff like Nighthaunt, how many different flavors of ghost they've got, or look at things like Stormcast and how many, endless waves of chambers of Stormcast being thrown at you. I think there's a lot of potential in the Sylvaneth to kind of expand upon it. Like, we've now got the beginnings of the kind of the Knothi side of things. We've got the Spear of Kurnos riding around on his giant kind of stink bug. And I would love to see that expanded on further, and maybe get some of the stuff that kind of expands on what they did in the Warhammer Underworlds, the Beastgrave box set, where you had kind of the Satyr style kind of goat-legged elves. I'd like to see that whole branch of the Sylvaneth widened open and have another kind of flavor, Kurnos' elves to join Alariel's elves, and then I think that would really kind of bulk out the Sylvaneth range in a cool and interesting way. Give them like some full-on, some like centaur cavalry to go and fight on the Chaos Dwarf Bull Centaurs, and give them, serried ranks of kind of, because the Sylvaneth don't really have much in the way of ranged weapons. They've got the Gossamedes, the winged archers, but a nice big massed regiment of the kind of little goat-legged or
you were saying last week, weren't you? Spite Remnants, is it? Tree Revenants?
Yeah, I'm going to keep banging my drum on this one. I want to see more Sylvaneth, new ways in which the range can get expanded. That's my vote.
Nice.
Good show.
So following on from those two then, or few, I nominate the Fire Slayers personally. I think they've got a few things, but their whole range needs a refresh, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So all of the actual minis that are already in the range just need resculpting, in my opinion. All of the, no matter what different units you have,
even the Magma
Fire
Drafts,
Slayers, they look too similar. Same with the Magma Drafts. You could
really
make some awesome
cool,
sculpts.
They're really cool, though.
They are cool, but like they're all quite uniform.
Okay.
And I think that they could do a bit more with it. And I
You've
know
been
for a
spoiled
fact
by all the new Seraphon, haven't you? That's what
I know for a fact that online as well, a lot of people agree with me on this with Fire Slayers. I know that Age of Sigmar community have been wanting Fire Slayers to get a big update for models. But also I just think the potential with Fire Slayers anyway, you could see so many more new things done. Because they released like that Forge terrain piece for them as well. I was like, oh, that's so cool. And things like little bits like that they've released, I thought, that's kind of triggered me to think I'd love to see other things. Like, was it? I feel like there was a Forge World model. I don't think it exists anymore. It was like the Wyrm or whatever that's coming up out of the hole in the ground.
Yes, the magma worm or something.
Yeah, could you imagine like an actual model that they could put in the Fire Stayers with that? Maybe it has like maybe June style. Like maybe they could even be riding it. How awesome could that be? But I just think there's a lot of potential there, like monstrous creatures from Akshi, that sort of thing that you could fit into the Fire Slayers.
Well, actually, it's a new setting, isn't it, for 4th edition? So
yeah.
It's
Would be a
certainly
good
not
time to it.
outside the realms of possibility.
I don't think we'll be waiting long for Fire Slayers either. I think maybe even later this year, next year.
I suppose one of the things that's kind of been ignored with the Fire Slayers, and it's kind of just been kept in the background because the Caradons have been kind of thought of as being the building type dwarves, but they are dwarves, they are smiths, they've got a forge. Where are the things that they have forged? Where is, the huge, I don't know, death rolling, fire, breathing death train or something that they could be riding around on? Where is the mini magma droths, or like, I don't know, the cybernetic magma droths?
That's the other thing I was thinking. Like, they could have something that is more that cavalry level of like,
like the aggressive Agrodons, but
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Agrodon magma droth chariots.
So
instead of death chickens, it's like fire dogs.
Yeah.
And what about like a Fire Slayer hero that has like a, you know, like a what would you call it? Not a steed, like a creature with them, like a hound or whatever.
That would be
look
cool.
really cool. Yeah. But yeah, that is my choice. Is Fire Slayers. But yeah, so
Giant steam-powered exosuits with a Slayer in the middle of it, wielding burning axes.
So yeah, we'll look forward to seeing whether those come to fruition, guys. I'm excited to see that. Maybe we'll have to come back to it actually whenever they're released and call back to this video. That'd be
That would be cool. We could kind of do a flat side-by-side comparison.
Yeah, that'd be good. Okay, but that is kind of our chosen topics for the week to have a chat about. But we do have a few community questions to pile through this week before we get into our Warhammer 20 questions. We've had quite a few submitted, so thanks to anybody who has. If you wish to submit your own community question or topic, go onto our Discord and leave it in the channel correct channel there for topics to discuss on here, and we will bring it up for you. And quite often I even make small snippet videos with your own title and everything for your topic that you've submitted, put up on the channel as well. So definitely worth you popping those in, and by all means leave a comment on the video here itself and let us know what you'd like to chat about. But we'll go through a couple of smaller ones that people have given in that won't take up too much time. One was a very simple one, and it's just quite a fun one. Null and Oil and Agrax Earthshade, there can only be one. Choose. I liked your response to this, Ben, because you actually responded in the Discord as well.
Null and Oil, because you can make Agrax Earthshade if you add a bit of dark brown to Null and Oil. It's Null and Oil is 100% the winner there in that regard. I use far more Null and Oil than I do Agrax Earthshade. It has its place, don't get me wrong.
Have you actually tried that to see whether that works?
I have. No, it does.
I mean, it does work.
Because I don't buy Agrax Earthshade that often. I mean, I've had a pot of it that I went through loads of it with just when I was doing my Necromunda scenery. It was just really useful for dirtying down Necromunda. But I ran out, so I got some Null and Oil, mixed a little bit of. It was only a little bit, literally like a 5-to-1 mix. I mixed a little bit of Rhinox hide in there, and it gave me a similar shade.
Nice. I mean, I suppose you could make the same argument, though, with you could get Agrax and dump a bit of black in there.
It would still be brown. It would still
Very
be
dark
about
brown.
to make that argument.
And
Yeah.
I would also just say Null and Oil superior to Badab Black versus Agrax Earthshade is nowhere near as good as Devil and Mud was.
True. So I can't really argue with Ben's reasoning there. I don't know about you, Si.
Lawyers!
Yeah, to be fair, he makes a
Nailed
good
it.
point. I mean, I do like Agrax Earthshade. I think it's quite useful. But like Ben says, if you can get Null and Oil and just add a little bit of brown or even a little bit of something lighter to create a different type of wash, then yeah, I suppose he's right. And I will agree that Null and Oil is better than Badab Black.
Tastes better too.
Tastes better.
But Agrax Earthshade not necessarily better than Devil and Mud. But I will say Duncan's washes, Battle Mud wash is really good. That's a good wash. It's stronger, but you can thin it down and knock it back a bit. That's really good. It flows really well.
Definitely.
So yeah, big shout out for Two Thin Coats washes there.
Oh no, imagine knocking it back.
Yeah.
Oh, no, not like
Much
that.
better.
That doesn't taste as good. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so I hope that answered your question there, my friend. I think that was S. Barnett that sent that one in on the Discord. And we have another one here. It's the not too distant future. Paint has become a rare commodity. You only have enough to paint one final miniature, and what would that miniature be? Have you guys thought of one for this one? I do have an answer for this. I've always wanted, given I'm a big Seraphon fan and Dinosaur fan, anybody remember the big Dread Saurian that's now been discontinued?
Oh my god!
But I never managed to get my hands on one. It's obviously a lot of money to be able to get your hands on one. But if there was only one miniature I could choose to paint because we're running out of paint, hell, I'd choose the Dread Saurian. It's a big thing that I could paint. I've never owned it before. It's awesome. There's lots of different colours I could paint onto a Dread Saurian. Why not?
I see. This is going to make me change my answer now. I had an answer for this. You've made me change my answer.
Yeah, I thought that was a good one.
I mean,
and
to be honest,
if you know you can never paint a model again, it's massive. It'd end up becoming a canvas. You just make it a multicoloured Dread Saurian.
Tau Manta. There you go.
Yeah.
That's my answer.
Okay.
the biggest Forge World model ever made, the Tau Manta, with the interior, with the toes on the benches inside and the devilfish and what have you.
That's a good answer.
That'd be mine. I'd have plenty of paint to do that. And it'd probably take me about 15 years to paint that
Because
anyway.
you've got the flat surface as well, you could do all sorts of weird stuff on there.
But airbrush it,
the
and do
actual
some
armor.
like hexagonal camo patterns and stuff like that.
You two are clearly the reason why we're only going to run out of paint, because you're going to be there painting,
This is true.
Sistine Chapel on the size of a
Well,
man.
said
Like,
that.
we've got to share out all the last
Would I
remnants of
ever get
paint
to
and
the
where they're
point
like...
Where I'd be
taking
painting a
half of it.
Pyromancer though, because apparently to build it is the most horrific experience in the world.
Yeah, a lot of the old Forge World flyers are.
See, I was going to go with, I'm going to cheat a little bit and say, count these as one model, Gotrek and Felix, because I've had them for ages. I just haven't gotten around to painting them, and it would be like, okay, well, this will be wonderfully nostalgic. But now, thanks to you, the Dread Saurian and the Tau Manta, well, okay, actually, if we're going to use this as an excuse to paint one model that we always want to paint, I'd use this as the excuse to get myself a Ramillies Starfort. It'd be like, okay, fine, I'm just going to fork out the eBay money, get the Ramillies I need for my Battlefleet Gothic games, and then I'll paint that. There we go. If that's the last miniature I'm ever spending money on, I'll buy a Ramillies.
The other thing that just
That's a
occurred
good
to me
question.
is
That's a
like,
good shout.
if you
Good
really
question
wanted
too.
to stretch this as well, you could be like, the new Obad the Despoiler statue.
Yeah.
Can you send me one
Oh, the
that's
Weta
unpainted,
Workshop
please?
one.
Yeah, the Weta Workshop.
Yeah, I'm going to repaint that. It's not good
Paint it
enough.
for the rest of your life.
Just
dear.
do 2 thin coats on every single inch of the model.
Yeah. But, yeah, thank you indeed for sending in that one as well. That was a good fun one to discuss. More of a discussion is the third one that we're going to take for this week's community questions, is should Age of Sigmar Skirmish make an appearance in 4th edition? I used to cover Age of Sigmar Skirmish in 2nd edition on the channel, when we used to be Skirmish Miniature Gaming back in the day.
Really?
Yeah, we used to cover Age of Sigmar Skirmish. It may have even been 1st edition, to be fair, we started covering that. Yeah, it was literally always just a PDF that you could use alongside Age of Sigmar's rules. It didn't really work properly, but it was good fun. And David's the one that submitted this, and he used to be a fan of the channel, so I'm not surprised he's asked this one. But I'll pass it on to you guys as well. What would you think? Because obviously we have Warcry. But what would you think about Skirmish coming back maybe in 4th edition in some shape or form?
Well, is this not going to be covered by Spearhead? Oh, sorry, Vanguard.
Kind
Which
of.
one
So
is it?
do you-
Spearhead or Vanguard now?
Spearhead
Spearhead is the new version.
It's the one
Yeah,
for
so
Combat Patrol for Age of Sigmar.
yeah, Combat Patrol for the 40K.
So Spearhead is
Age of
still
Sigmar equivalent of.
Age of Sigmar. Just it's like Combat Patrol if you've
Yeah.
ever played Combat Patrol
Yeah.
40k. So it's just small points, like 500
Well, it's
points.
what we predicted, isn't it? That's what
out
I
of the
said.
box. But Age
an
of Sigmar
equivalent to that.
Skirmish used to be more like Warcry, so you used individual units, individual models as units. But it was kind of weird how it worked. You kind of used the stat lines from Age of Sigmar battle tomes, but you individualized the models. Then it was very strange. It didn't really work properly.
I can't see it coming back because you've got Warcry that fulfills your warband sort of thing. You've got Spearhead, which is going to give you that small scale army, if you like. So you might get the odd beast and the odd character. And then the other thing that's covered is Warhammer Underworlds as well. You get that individual little model fix, individual character per card there. So what room is there really for Age of Sigmar Skirmish now?
And they've released an alternative
Probably
version of Underworlds where you don't have to use all of the cards. You can just use the stat line cards and play it like a miniature skirmish war game.
So I can't see there being a reason or
Probably
need for
not,
it. To be
no.
honest.
I mean, I know why the question's been asked because I know there's still quite a few fans of the original Skirmish rules because it's a lot more linked to what... The reason it won't happen as well is because GW will want to sell separate models, and they're doing that for Warcry. They're not going to let you use Skirmish rules for everything that is already existing for Sigmar. So,
and they're going to bring Morehammer back, and then we can play Morehammer as a Warhammer skirmish game, so we won't need Age of Sigmar skirmish.
Yeah,
because we'll all be playing Morehammer.
Yeah, and Battlefleet Gothic after that, so there's no time.
And I could be wrong, but I believe you could technically pick up the old Skirmish PDF sheet rules and use that with 4th edition anyway. I don't see a reason why you wouldn't be able to.
Or with a little bit of work by fans, it would easily be modifiable, I'm
easily.
sure.
Because I believe, is it Will that is one of the lead writers and designers of Warcry? The reason he originally got taken onto Games Workshop to design Warcry was because he did a fan-made version of Age of Sigmar Skirmish. And then he got brought on to do Warcry. So that's. I mean, I'm sure David knows this anyway, but that's kind of why you've now got Warcry, and like Si said, I don't see anything else coming.
I can't see 2 skirmish games in the same
existing
setting.
in the same
No.
thing. No. Well, technically 3, like Si said. You got Underworlds as well, really.
That's true.
Even though it's kind of more board game, but yeah. But interesting conversation, and like I say, David, maybe I'll have to take a look at the old rules again as well. I'll see if it works alongside 4th edition. That could be
You could do another skirmish video and see how it plays.
yeah, that'd be quite cool.
Once 4th drops.
Yep, that's it. Exactly. But yes, that is it for our community questions topics this week. We've got a few still in to plough through, so don't worry, guys. If yours hasn't been brought up this week, it will be in following episodes, and any more that do get sent in, please do keep sending them in, guys, because the more we have to choose from and bring up on the show. But I believe it is time for Warhammer 20 questions for this week's episode. And then following that, we'll go through our March for Macragge entries and end the show on that. So don't worry, guys, that is still coming.
Stay tuned.
But guys, if you're new to the podcast, every week we end the show with the Warhammer 20 questions. 19 questions usually. The 20th, the guys will try and make a guess as to which character or unit from the Warhammer universe I am thinking of, or our viewers send in suggestions, and this week we do have another one in from Charax, I believe it is. We know him from Discord. He sent in a couple again, so I've chosen one of them. He said he thinks he can beat you guys with this one.
Oh, we're undefeated so far.
Yes, you are. I think one of the weeks it's going to have to happen, so we'll wait and see if it does. But yeah, and if they manage to kind of come up with it before that, then they can make the guess. But it's yes or no questions.
Ask silly questions just to
yes,
wind you up.
basically. But yes, let the questioning begin.
Okay. Well, if I kick things off, since I'm in the top right square this week,
Go for it.
Do they reside in the 41st millennium?
They do.
Okay.
Do they wear power armor?
No. That's 2.
Would they be described as Xenos?
No. That's 3 questions.
Okay.
Are they part of the Astra Militarum or the Imperial Guard?
No.
Are they human?
Yes.
Okay.
That's 5.
Are they dead?
No. That's 6.
Do they have a miniature?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay.
Would they be considered a leader amongst their peers, or
No.
no? Okay.
No, they wouldn't. So that's
Okay.
8 questions.
Have they appeared in a Black Library novel?
Novel, no.
Ooh, that's interesting.
That's how I'm going to have to answer that, because it's not technically a novel.
Ooh, okay.
That's 9.
Have they
just
appeared?
as like an extra thing, if they've had a small mention in another actual novel, it's not worth any note of worth, so I'm just going to add that.
Okay. But it's interesting you drew the distinction at novel, no.
Well, that was your question. So.
Yeah, that's an interesting distinction.
Have they appeared in a Warhammer Plus or Games Workshop animation?
I don't believe so. That's 10.
Okay. Human. Not power armor wearing. Not in the guards. Doesn't have a model. Not appeared in a novel or other Warhammer Plus animation. How else to narrow this down?
And they're alive.
And they're alive.
They're alive.
Are they male?
Yes.
Okay.
That's 11.
Are they part of the Inquisition?
Yes. That's 12.
Come on, Ben. You can narrow it down now.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking one of you is going to get this, more likely it might be Ben, just because he knows his Inquisition. But...
Yeah, my Inquisition knowledge is quite correctly less.
Okay, so we're Inquisitors. It can't be any of the Inquisitors that appeared in the Inquisitor game, like Tyrus or Eisenhorn, because they've had... I mean, Eisenhorn was novel, but Tyrus had a miniature. But that doesn't mean it isn't necessarily one of the other Inquisitors like Cryptman or Gorman, or there is a fairly wide range. But
I would say part of the Inquisition faction as well. To say.
Oh, that's true. You've said it's not a leader, so it's not going to be an Inquisitor. That's why I forgot that you'd asked about the leader.
Remember some of the questions that you've asked previously as well.
Yeah, you've asked. He's not a leader, so
it's not going to be. It's not going to be a remember answer because he said 40 first millennium,
so
not.
In terms of just to give you not too much help, but a little bit of a tip, because you've asked previous questions to remind you.
Let's recap.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. You've kind of narrowed down that they're part of the Inquisition as a faction. They're not a leader of their people, I guess you could say. But you would consider them as, if you're thinking of a faction within 40k universe, that's where you narrow them down to, yeah?
They're male, they don't have a model, and they've not appeared in a Black Library novel. The novel is the interesting distinction. Because it can't be any of the assassins then, because they've all had...
They're in novels.
Well, they're in models, I was going to say.
Oh, models as well, yeah.
Yeah, so it can't be one of the assassins. It can't be anyone like Slick Devlin or Sergeant Stone or any of the characters from the Inquisitor game, because, again, they had
What
models.
about graphic novels?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think about that, because Inquisitor DeFay featured in the Warhammer Monthly comic series, and he had a pupil by the name of Gravia, who wouldn't therefore be a leader amongst his people, but would be a member of the Inquisitorial faction. Likewise, you had Inquisitor Silas Hand, but he wore power armor, so we can rule him out. I'm going to ask, have they appeared in a Warhammer comic or graphic novel?
No. No.
We are skirting around the edge of this somewhere.
Not really, no.
Is that 12 that's now we've had?
That's 13, I believe.
That's 13. Okay.
Have they appeared in a Warhammer 40,000 or Games Workshop video game?
Not to my knowledge, sorry, but I mean, you know, that's
okay.
Not notable that I'd know of.
Not the Inquisitor in the not the Inquisitor in the Inquisitor film as well, I suppose. Then
no,
I believe that's 14.
Yeah. Okay, we need a way to
this
narrow
one is
this
something
down.
you guys...
This is getting tricky. Is it? Has he appeared? Has he appeared in an official Games Workshop publication?
Yes.
Okay, that rules out anything that I've made up.
So 4 questions left, and an educated guess, I think, at this point, unless you really start to narrow it down. But so this is question 16.
Question 16. Go on.
There's been a lot of thinking here.
Is it in this book?
Not that I'm aware of.
Oh.
Because genuinely, I have the information here for this character, or person, whatever, and there are sources to the exact where this thing's come from, and that's not one of the sources. So, and I have not read that book personally, so I can't attest to it.
Is he from this book?
No.
Damn it!
I don't think that's the way you're going to narrow it down, to be honest.
Just keep holding up books going, was he in this book?
Yeah. So you're on 18, you got 2 questions and a guess.
2 left.
Is the publication that this person featured in a White Dwarf magazine?
No, but that's a good guess. That's a good...
it's a very good question.
Good yeah. Last question and then a guess. Which I'll be very surprised if you get it here. If you do, that'd be amazing, but no.
Is this character a member of the Ordo Hereticus?
Oh, in fact, no, I can't.
Here, anyway, says specifically which of the orders he serves.
I was going to say
So
John
really
Grammaticus, but he's in Black Library novels.
He's throughout the Black Library novels.
And because there's kind of been different iterations where he's also served different people.
Unless you've read this publication, we are so screwed.
Okay,
I'm interested to know if you've actually heard of him, though.
This is an interesting one. He said he served different people.
That's my last tip.
The last
and you've had
clue.
your last question, technically.
So
that's going to be the tip I'll give you before your guess.
He served different people. Si, I am ready.
For time, yeah.
For the sake of time, I am ready to throw in the towel. Are you, Si? Or do you want to make your random guess?
Oh, I don't know.
No. Shall I tell you? So the character, technically character because it's named, that Charax put up is Simeon 38X, which is an acroflagellant, previously known as Erin Octavus, who comes from the Inquisition background book, which is a big publication that GW put out for Black Library.
Okay.
And he's a character that's basically served a few Inquisitors, was basically sentenced to death by the Ecclesiarchy at points in time as well, and then got taken up by the witch hunter Tyrus, who stayed in from execution, and basically so Simeon was given a retrial and sentenced to death masking. After this, he was held in stasis aboard Tyrus's own vessel, a ready instrument to be unleashed upon the witch hunter's most hated foes. He said
that's a tricky one. So. That is a very tricky one. No, because the Inquisitor, the Archiflagellant model in the Inquisitor book is Damien 1427. Although they may well have used the same model for alternative Archiflagellants, he never had a model.
I mean, in all fairness, I never searched to see if he did have one, but if he did, if he did, one of the pages many pages I have up for the descriptions on this guy would have the picture of the model, and would have some sort of reference or source to it. So I gathered he probably didn't. But yeah, I think that's a fair beat, guys. Sadly, I think he got you there, and I think you were gonna get taken down at some point by one, but you've had a very good run.
That was an exceedingly fiendish one.
It was a difficult one. It was a difficult one, but thank you, Charax, for your entry. And
at least we went down on a hard question.
It was. At least you can definitely take heart from that one, guys. Don't worry about that. But please do send in yours for the guys to try and guess, guys. Characters, units. Maybe it's your favourite character or unit from the game. Next week we'll have another interesting one for the guys to try and guess. Alright, so the one last thing we'll do to end off the show, as I said before, sorry to anybody who's on audio only, but I did say we do it at the end of the show specifically for that reason. We've got images up from our the Morehammer community of people's March for Macragge efforts from the last month, and I've put them all together in a little slideshow so we can go through them, and hopefully I've got the names up in the corner as well so we can give a shout out to you guys who have put in the hard efforts. Ben, I believe this is somebody over on socials who's sent one into you.
Yeah.
At Gruel1 from Facebook, is it?
No, it's from Twitter. So this is I'm doing my little series of Ultramarine Successor chapters, and at Gruel1, or Gruel as he goes by on Twitter, GRWL, has done a Aurora chapter marine, which
very nice as well. I love that colour of green as well.
Yeah, that's very nice. Red Bolter as well, really cool. Oh,
very good. And this is Ben's entry, actually. This is all a random order, so Ben's Beaky Boy is what I've listed it as.
RTBO1.
It is indeed.
With
nice efforts, Ben.
As well, well done.
Yeah, proper base.
Very rare old mini. Lovely
Goblin
stuff.
green base as well.
This is from Etziadatore97 on our Discord, but he also put it on Twitter. He's Captain Felion of the Ultramarines 5th Company.
Looks really cool.
A nice entry, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I like the heraldry on the tilting
as well.
plate.
That's good to see.
Yeah.
Don't often see 5th Company. I like that.
And his lines on the shield, on the chest, are very well done, I must say. Very nice shield work. Moving on, we have another one, I believe, on yours, Ben.
So this is from the Miniature Mumblings Facebook group. Hello to everybody over there. This is Kevin Dunn, one of the moderators over there, who's done a Silver Skulls Marine, another one of those Space Marine successor chapters. This one's really cool because it's kind of heavily modified with bionics and stuff as well.
Very nice.
Yeah, that's an interesting helmet he's got on there as well.
Yeah, I don't know what it's actually from that he's pulled it from, but
yeah, I mean, it looks almost like a 5th edition, Mark V kind of heresy armor type helmet.
That armor is what reminds me of Iron Man Mark 1 armor, where he does the one he builds in the cave.
Yeah,
very cool. Simon, this is yours. You've been working on your Imperialis, haven't you, for a while now?
Oh yeah, it's one of my Contempted Dreadnoughts for epic scale. Yeah.
It is
so
indeed.
Cute.
If you want to see all of Si's work that he's been doing on Imperialis, by the way, do check out his Instagram and whatnot. You've been posting it on there, Si, haven't you? And on the Discord for your Ultramarines.
Yeah, no, I did 4 of these literally about 2 hours before we recorded this podcast. I was finishing off putting the transfers on.
Yep, very nice work. We've got S Barnett 82, who sent in one of our community questions today as well. Has been working on his salamanders.
I love the flames. The flames on the gauntlet and the shoulder pad are beautiful.
Very nice work. Lovely stuff. And we had Miniatures Apothecary, of course. He came on, Matt came on, didn't he, on your guys' episode that you did a couple of weeks back.
So this is his homebrew region, isn't it?
Yes,
The
he's got his
Teal
fourth company,
Marines.
Junior Apothecary, his Teal Marines, yeah. And very lovely. We know he's a professional painter anyway, so not just expect
I like
nothing
the
less.
alien flora, on the base there, the pink flowers.
It could be fauna, you
I-
never know.
yeah, I thought that as well.
Some sort of alien world base with some pink grass. It looks really cool.
Some lovely definition
Contrasts
with
really
that teal.
nicely against the teal.
Lovely stuff. Oh, this is mine. So this is the final product of my 1,000 points Ultramarines that I've been working on for the last few months. So this is the majority of the latest Marine Tyranids box Leviathan, isn't it? And then you've got the Assault Marine squad in there as well.
Are they third company, Luke? I can't quite see.
Second, isn't it?
It's all second, I think, yeah.
Oh, I think it's just the
golden
lights. Some of
rims.
the shoulder pads look red.
There's some first
the,
company at the back, the Stern Guard.
Yeah, so it's a bit of a mix, but yeah, you got veterans at the back. You got some is it Pyroblasters? The flamers,
with the
isn't it, the new
flamers.
ones? You got the big Ballistus Dreadnought in there. On the right, you've got the Leviathan Lieutenant model, which is really cool. The new Terminator Captain as well all the bases from Leviathan. So yeah, and I'm just finished getting all the transfers on these guys. So good.
I like
to
you've got the
see those
veteran markings on the squad on the helmets for the
Yes.
sergeant of the Terminators and the sergeant of the Stern
Yeah,
Guard
there's
as well.
little things I've put in here and there just to make individual models and sergeants kind of, a bit more individualistic than
That's
others,
really
so,
cool.
Yeah. So looking forward to getting them back on the table. Will Richard sent
Oh,
in his
Morph
Morph Factor
Factors.
as well.
Yeah, so
We've
again,
talked about these, haven't we?
this was a reaction to my my successor chapters videos. This is over on the Imperium of Man Facebook group. Will Richard posted one of his mortar factors, and you can see it's the fourth company was the green shoulder rims, wasn't it?
Yeah, it is
Um,
fourth company.
I believe
I
that
like
is
it.
the
I
last
like the two
entry,
skulls
so-
on the back part. That's pretty cool.
It's really cool.
Indeed. I believe that is the last of the entries that we've had in that specifically were for March for Macragge. I could have put in so many more from on Twitter that people have linked in from towards us, but these are the ones that we specifically got sent in. So thanks to everybody who kind of took part and sent things in time. I know there are a few people who I can't remember the names of who have said that they're kind of halfway through things and didn't really want to send in pictures of it, which is fair enough. So
Yeah.
good effort anyway, and keep updating us on Discord with how you're going with those, I suppose, throughout as the year goes on. And thanks to Ben and Ty for theirs. But yeah, that is the end of March for Macragge and the end of March. We're going into April now, and that'll be the end of this week's episode. But as always, guys, make sure to subscribe to us, like the videos, and please do leave us comments down below as well, because it really does help with people finding the videos, and that's the way the algorithm gods work on YouTube. So please do comment for the algorithm gods. That is the way. That's the way it goes. But thanks to Ben and Sai for joining us this week. Where can we find you guys? Ben, do you want to go first?
I am, as ever, over 90% geek. I will be back with my usual Friday video at the end of this week. And I'm also over on Twitter, and I can be found Instagram, Blue Sky, Twitch, Threads, all of those kind of places.
Nice, Sai.
Yeah, you can find me on YouTube as Hobby Waffle, and also same again for Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. And Instagram, I'm usually on there on a daily basis, commenting on other people's awesome miniatures and wishing I could paint as nice as they could. I do need to upload some more stuff because I've been quite lax in it recently, so I get some stuff put on there. I've got some Star Wars Shatterpoint stuff I want to put up on Twitter and on Instagram as well. And then I might do another video. Seeing as we've been talking about it, I might do a video about Chaos Dwarfs. I'd have to do my own work first, but
That would be cool.
should be a
cool,
good
man.
topic for
Yeah,
a
you should
video.
definitely do
Get the conversation flowing.
Definitely.
And we're all over on the Morehammer Discord, don't forget.
We are indeed.
Where,
Yes,
where
indeed.
all the cool
if you,
kids are.
If you want to drop over there, because we've had a few come in each week after each episode, but it'd be great to keep getting more people in on
Yeah,
there.
and Luke, if you could post up the March from Macragge stuff on Discord as well, people can have a look at it on there as well. if they really
Yeah,
listen to
well,
it,
what
so.
I'll post it in the actual hobby section on there. All of the ones that we've looked at on here. So if you want to jump on the Discord, you can see that. And what I'm still planning on possibly doing, if I have the time, I'm going to make a collage of all the photos we've had sent in, and I'll post that out on the social media as well.
Sweet.
But yeah, all right, guys, that'll do it for this week's episode. Thanks to everyone for watching, and as always, happy wargaming.
Bye.
Bye.